What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Football Game Show brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy here on Better Sports Network. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-hosts, Joey Wright and John Luke. And joining us today from FTN, we have our friend Jeremy Popielarz here with us. Jeremy, thank you so much for taking the time to come and play some games with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. It's not my first time here, so should be fun.
It is not your first time here, and our chat historian is on hiatus for the next couple of days, is out of the loop, but sent me our guest stats via DM before the show started today. So let me pull those up. Craig got it in ahead of time. So this is Jeremy's third appearance on the show. Previously came on to play Fantasy Fortune, but did not pull out the W. So 0-1 in our games, looking for some redemption in Fantasy Fortune today. Everybody watching, if you're not already following our friend Jeremy, you should go and fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at PopesFFH. That is PopesFFH. It's right there below his handsome face on the screen. He is a fantasy analyst over at FTN and host of that FTN Dynasty podcast. Joey, I'm digging the creamsicle you got up there. We got a lot of Bills gear down here. We had some big wins from both of your teams this weekend. Bills and Bucks showing up. And Joey's so excited about Baker Mayfield that we can't even hear him.
Baker took his voice.
Baker stole my voice this weekend. Jeremy, we'll start with you. The Dolphins have been a major problem for the Bills. People thought that the Dolphins were going to come in and maybe be the team to beat in this division. Bill shut them up pretty good. How are you feeling about their chances in this division going forward after that game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously being a Bills fan, it was always biased a little bit to saying that they were still the best team in the AFC East, but I still believed it. Like I get it. The Dolphins are good. They're a good team. I'm not going to say they're not, but it's just kind of like some of those teams, like even that last week, like I was like hard pressed to be like, trust me, the Houston Texans are probably beating the Jaguars because they just tend to do that. Like Houston has been very good against the Jaguars, and it's the same way with the Bills with the Dolphins. Like the Bills just own the Miami Dolphins no matter how it has been. I think they've won 11 of the last 12, if I remember that correctly. So, and the only one win was that one last year in the 110-degree heat where like almost the Bills basically almost still won it at the end of the game there. So it's just one of those matchups that the Bills just kind of have handled really well throughout the year. But I think it was one of those that just really felt good as a Bills fan because you have been hearing all off season of like, oh, the Jets are coming, like the Dolphins are coming, like the Bills might be the worst team in the AFC East or like the second worst, like all off season, like the window's closing, it's this or that. And like the Bills just kind of came out and said, nah, we're not even close to that, but
they just closed the window for the winter because it was cold outside, but they're opening it back up now.
But Trey White, that's going to be a tough injury. So sadly, but we'll see how it goes.
Joey, we got you now.
I think so. Do you got me?
I got you. Baker Mayfield now in 3 of 4 weeks, including this week, has been startable for fantasy football. This week, a little bit more than startable, a top 12 option. Yeah, he was. And now this Buccaneers offense seems to be spinning a little bit. They're kind of moving. They went against a good defense and had a good game. Is Baker Mayfield someone we should be keeping an eye on for fantasy, especially in these 2 QB leagues?
I think we're fortunate that – I don't know if we're fortunate, but next week they're on bye. So you can kind of let them hang there on waivers. No one's probably going to be picking them up in most of the leagues. Coming out of that, the Bucs do have kind of a hard schedule for passing quarterbacks. But there's like this really nice little pocket, like weeks 10 to like 14, where the Bucs have some really good matchups. And I think Baker in Superflex leagues, 2 quarterback leagues, will definitely be serviceable then. There's a Mike Evans injury that I'm a little worried about, but we'll see what happens.
Keep an eye on it. Well, we got some people in the chat ready for today's game on the eve of week 5. Albert stopping by with hello, everyone. What's up, Albert? Welcome in, my friend. Dustin, resident Bills fan, wishing happy Monday to everyone, even Tim, big Dolphins fan. We got Dame in the chat saying howdy, FYF. What's up, Dame? Welcome in. Dustin with the hashtag Team Joey, and our favorite chat cat with the good afternoon, FYF peoples.
Hello, steamers.
Dustin with the hashtag Bills Mafia in the house in the chat. And also Tim coming in, with just numbers and stuff. Yeah. Just numbers. The Finns all-time record against the Bills is 61-52-1. Tim with the classic scoreboard.
They also have a Super Bowl. They have this perfect season.
You have the only perfect season.
Yeah, so I mean they do have the history on their side, but
Bills and Dolphins are the answer to some of the most common NFL trivia questions, aren't they? Like only undefeated season, team to make 4 consecutive Super Bowls. I'm sorry, that was sad.
Really well.
But that is one of the more common trivia
Yeah.
questions that gets thrown out there. Mr. Scamper's in here saying, I would like to officially rescind the trade for Bryce Young, please. So after the game this weekend, after the Bears losing, they now own the number 1 and number 2 overall picks in the upcoming draft with the trade to the Carolina Panthers. Jeremy, do you think there is a turnaround coming for Bryce Young, or is this Josh Rosen 2.0 where a team, or Trey Lance, I guess for a more recent example, a team trades up, grabs the QB, and it doesn't work out?
I think there could be potentially a turnaround. It's really tough just because that whole offense is just really just kind of bad. Like, you really don't have any good options. Like, Thielen's been playing good. Terrace Marshall looks a little bit better, but kind of you could put him into a failed draft pick. DJ Chark, injuries just kind of keep taking him off the field. It seems like that with Jonathan Mingo at this point as well. And then, you have Hayden Hurst, decent tight end, but it's not like he's a world breaker out there. And then offensive line that's not that great. Sanders battling injury. It's kind of the supporting cast isn't as good, we'll say, I think personally, as CJ Stroud, although I love CJ. So, like, I would say that there's still time. Like, I don't think it's the end of the world for him, but he's always had that uphill battle of being that undersized quarterback. So I'm just going to say give it some time. But I understand, when you're talking Bryce Young or like Caleb Williams,
you start getting
a loss there
about Caleb Williams. John Luke, whenever you're looking at Bryce Young, do you agree with Jeremy that 5 games into the rookie campaign on this bad Panthers offense isn't enough to write him off yet? Do you think potentially we see the ship start turning the other direction this season, or is this more of a long-term dynasty play?
Yeah, this is sample size. We're week 5. We're not even into week 5 yet. It's week 4. We've only seen 4 observations from this young quarterback. If you were evaluated based off of your first 4 days of work, I'm sure there'd be many jobs that you would have already been fired for.
Yeah, 100%. This one, for certain, I would have been fired
all
from.
Of them, probably.
I think all of us.
Yeah,
without a doubt.
On the first
I don't want to see the last 4. I probably should go back and delete those now that we're talking about them.
I will say they should play the videotape of my first 4 days at the frozen yogurt shop as the definition for how someone should start their career at a froyo place. I was running things there, but sometimes your passions just line up with your career and you end up working at a frozen yogurt shop. Guys, today we brought Jeremy here to play some Fantasy Fortune. He's looking for redemption, looking to get that W. He's going to go head-to-head against John Luke and Joey Wright. Before we get into that, a couple reminders, though. First and foremost, if you're not already following our guest Jeremy, you need to go and remedy that right now. You can find him on Twitter at PopesFFH. It's right there below his face on the screen. It's also in the link to this YouTube video if you're watching us on YouTube. If you are, go and hit that subscribe button. It's the easiest way to show your support for what we're doing over here. And the little notification bell is the best way to make sure you never miss us live every single day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. With that said, you guys ready to get into our game of Fantasy Fortune for today?
Yep, I am.
I'm going to pull this board up, explain how it works,
I'll say.
and then we will get started. The game today is Fantasy Fortune, and if you've ever watched Wheel of Fortune, you got a head start on understanding these rules because it's very similar. The first change we made, though, is we are throwing that dumb wheel out. Instead of spinning a wheel, contestants are going to be answering 50-50 NFL or fantasy-related trivia questions in order to guess a letter, a consonant that they think appears in the puzzle on the screen. Get the consonant right, you are going to add $500 for each instance of it that shows up on the board. Now, during your turn, oops, I messed up those rules. You have to answer a question before you can guess a letter whenever we're getting rid of the wheel. Whenever you answer a question, if you get that right, you're going to get to guess a letter that you think appears in the puzzle. For every instance of that letter, you will add $500 to your round bank. Now, before a question has been asked to you on your turn, you can choose 2 other actions. You can choose to buy a vowel, which will cost $100 per instance that the vowel shows up to a max of $500, or you can choose to solve the puzzle at any time, which will bank all of the money in your round bank, or earn you $1,000, whichever one is higher. Now, on your turn, you can go up to 3 times in a row. That is if you get both the question and the letter correct. If at either point, either of those is incorrect, your turn is automatically over. Or if you get 3 in a row right, we're going to give you 5 seconds to solve the puzzle, at which point your turn will also be over. We'll move on to the next person. With that being said, I think we're ready to get into this game of Fantasy Fortune. Jeremy, ready?
Ready.
Joey, A-okay?
A-okay, Captain.
John Luke, feeling good on a Tuesday?
Oh, yeah. Except it's Monday.
Well, I ran out of things that sounded like "Are you ready?" And some South Park
Feel
came
good
into
tomorrow.
mind. Feeling good on a Tuesday. All right, well, I'm going to load up this first puzzle here. All of the rules I just said you can throw out the window because this is going to be a toss-up. It does not work the same way. I'm going to slowly reveal letters in this player's name. When you think you know who it is, say your name.
JL.
After you say your name, you can take a shot at this puzzle. If you are correct, you'll earn $500. If you're wrong, the other contestants will have an opportunity to get it right. JL has buzzed in already, so with no letters on the board, JL, you are allowed to take a shot. Just know if you are wrong, you are out for the remainder of this round.
I'd like to guess Tank Dell.
John Luke, that is incorrect. This is not Tank Dell. Jeremy and Joey, I'm going to start revealing letters here. When you think you know who it is, buzz in with your name and let me know.
Could be Ken.
Joey.
Joey, who do you think this is?
Old L.
Cole Kmet.
Joey, this is Cole Kmet. That's going to earn you $500 into your round bank. You're going to put that money right in and get to go first on our next round. Before we move on, though, Cole Kmet had a big week. 2 touchdowns in the loss. 4 that Justin Fields threw. 2 of them went to Cole Kmet. Justin Fields told us he's going to start playing. He says, I'm just going to go back to what I know. And maybe that connection with Cole Kmet is coming back. Do you view this as an anomaly or as maybe a sign of more to come as the season goes on?
Justin Fields struggled last year to start the season. And so we saw that again this year. And then he has a really great week. And like, listen, I shouldn't overreact to 1 week, but he started doing all the things outside of rushing that we wanted to see him do this year. He's throwing the ball more. He's getting it to Cole Kmet, which is how he succeeded last year. And what did that do? Opened up the field for DJ Moore. There were people dropping Justin Fields and I was scooping him up. I'm happy that he was there. We'll see what happens from here, but I'm pretty optimistic about Fields' rest of the season.
Jeremy, do you feel equally optimistic as Joey after what we saw in week 4? Or does this Broncos defense maybe sour a little bit of that?
Not equally as confident. I'll say cautiously optimistic. I wasn't dropping him. It's the same thing like with Joe Burrow. Like, I'm not dropping these guys. You spend so much in the draft capital. Like, I'm fine adding somebody in redraft or anything like that, like a Dobbs or something like that, like to just kind of supplement for now. But it was the Broncos, and I mean, the Dolphins put up 70 on them, and it just I want to see this week if he repeats it or looks similar, like then okay, it's wheels up for me after that.
John Luke, is Cole Kmet still firmly in this tight end glob for you, or is he escaping at this point?
Yeah, I don't think one game is going to change it. I mean, we have to see some sort of consistency in where that distribution is going from Justin Fields. And I'm not even sure he is going to continue this 35 pass a game pace that he had this past week.
Yeah, that checks out. We had some guesses in the chat. Mr. Scampers came in with Jaleel McLaughlin, no letters. So close, Scampers.
Nice pull.
Almost fit. Scott Fish with Joey Bosa would have fit. Dustin on the same page as you, JL.
Tank Dell. We got Delled.
Nick Foles, yeah. First one to come in my head.
Day thought it was Dick Ford. Scott Fish coming in with Noah Fant close, and then finally getting in with Cole Kmet. Scampers thought it was Cole Dell Beckham Jr.
I immediately thought, or whenever I first thought of Tank Dell, I just locked onto that and just assumed no other NFL players had 4-letter first and last names.
I couldn't. The O and L at first, I was like, "Ooh, what?" I was lost.
Paul Ryan. There's no comma in here, and his last name is plural. All right, well, Joey, that is going to earn you $500 into your bank. We're going to move on to the next round here, which will be a normal puzzle. The category here is NFL player food mashup. I forget what our beautiful food mashup was last week as the example. Let me pull it up for you. We had Cam, Pancakers, and Syrup as the NFL player food mashup last week. It's going to be some sort of NFL player's name combined with some sort of food in some varying degree of success. Joey, you solved that one, which means you get to go first in this next puzzle. Are you ready?
Yes.
A reminder to our contestants to be out of the chat or to have this screen full screen so you can't see our chat. And a reminder to everybody in the chat to play along. If you get it before any of our contestants, we will shout you out. And if you're very wrong, we'll make fun of you. And if you say something funny, we're probably going to laugh. Do that. We like funny things. Joey, would you like a question?
Yes, please, Simon.
Yes, please. Okay, Joey, what I want to know is who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? All of my fantasy points questions will be PPR related. Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Amon-Ra St. Brown or was it DJ Moore?
DJ Moore.
DJ Moore is correct. Which letter would you like, Joey?
T.
T. There are no T's in this puzzle, which means, John Luke, we are on to you. Question or solve?
Big bonk, Joey. Big bonk. I'll take a question.
Big bonk for Joey and a big question for JL. JL, who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Christian Kirk or was it Stephon Diggs?
Diggs.
Diggs is correct. The number 2 PPR wide receiver on the week. Which letter would you like?
N.
N. There are no N's in this puzzle.
Big bonk for me.
Yeah, big bonk, JL.
Yeah,
Jeremy.
I just said that.
That felt good.
Repeat me, Joey.
That felt good.
Your 2 opponents have been big bonked by some common letters, which means it's your turn. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this?
I need a question.
Okay. My question for you is who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Nico Collins or was it Curtis Samuel?
Nico Collins.
Nico Collins is correct. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
I will go with
Don't get big bonked.
R.
R.
As in really? You're going to pick the R, Jeremy? Is that correct?
Pirates. R.
There is 1 R in this puzzle. No big bonk for you. Would you like to buy a vowel, take another question, or solve this puzzle?
I'll take another question.
Okay. Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Drake London or was it Terry McLaurin?
Ooh, that's close. I want to say it was London.
I'm sorry, Jeremy. It was McLaurin.
Oh, it was
McLaurin outscored Drake London this week, which means, Joey, we are on to you. Would you like a question?
Question, please.
Okay. Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Justin Jefferson or was it Nick Westbrook-Ikine?
You're such a jerk. I'll still say JJ.
You didn't fall for the reverse trick, Joey. It is JJ, but I thought I'd get you there. Which letter would you like?
I'll go with an L.
L is in loser. There's 1 L in this puzzle, Joe. You can add $500 to your round bank. You can take another question, you can solve, or you can purchase a vowel.
I'll buy a U.
Okay. A U. There are 3 U's in this puzzle. Going to subtract 300. Joey, you can move on to your second question here. You can take another. No, you can't buy any vowels, or you can solve this.
I'll just take a question.
Okay. My question for you, Joey, is who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who scored more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Jaleel McLaughlin or was it Josh Jacobs?
Jaleel McLaughlin had 104 yards and a touchdown. I know that. Josh Jacobs, though.
Josh Jacobs is correct. Had a good week finally. Which letter would you like, Joey?
A K.
A K. Joey, if this is correct, you're going to bank this money and you'll have 5 seconds to solve. There is 1 K in this puzzle.
That was my second.
Oh, that was your second question. You're right.
Yep. I'd like to buy an E.
Okay. You can buy an E. There are 2 E's in this puzzle. Because of that, you have enough to buy another vowel if you would like to do so, or you can move on to your third and final question.
I'm going to try to solve.
Okay.
No, wait, I'm not. I'm going to take a question.
Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4, Joey? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Travis Etienne Jr. or was it Gus Edwards?
Ooh.
I'll go with Gus Edwards.
I'm sorry, Joey. It was Travis Etienne, which means we are moving on to John Luke. John Luke, you can solve this or you can take a question. What would you like to do?
I would like to take a question.
Okay. A question for John Luke. Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Rashad White or was it Alvin Kamara?
Oh, shoot. Let's go with White.
I'm sorry, John Luke. It was Alvin Kamara. Came into the league as a top 10 running back in his first week back, which means, Jeremy, we're on to you. You can solve, you can purchase a vowel, or you can take a question.
I'll take a question.
Okay, who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it Kyron Williams or was it James Cook?
Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams is correct. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
C.
C. There are no C's in this puzzle, unfortunately, which means we're back to you, Joey. Joey, you made a noise like maybe you wanted to solve
I know it, but it doesn't make any sense because it's not a food. It's like a thing. Okay, I'm going to take a question because I don't.
Okay. My question for you, Joey, is who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Who had more PPR fantasy points in week 4? Was it DeAndre Swift or Devon Achane?
Achane.
Achane is correct, Joey. Which letter would you like?
M.
M. There are 2 M's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000. You can choose to buy a vowel if you'd like to do so. You can take another question,
okay.
or you can solve.
I have it now.
Okay.
Luke Musgrave.
This is Luke Musgrave. Nice job, Joey, solving that one. And shout out to our friend Craig for submitting that NFL player food mashup.
I thought it was Luke Musgrave. And I was like, no,
that's what I was.
That's too much of a stretch.
There's like an extra letter gap there that didn't fit.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, Joey, before we move on, Luke Musgrave seems to be a heavily involved, at least for a rookie tight end early, but it hasn't necessarily turned into a ton of fantasy success. Are you holding on to Luke Musgrave on your bench in redraft leagues right now?
I mean, if you're streaming tight end, I don't mind him playing the matchups. I'm not incredibly optimistic about him this season. Like for Dynasty, I'm definitely keeping him. I think with Romeo Doubs, he's going to end up getting the most targets on that team. Christian Watson's back, and Jaden Reed, he's involved. So at best case, I see him as maybe the 4th option in targets. So in Dynasty, I'm holding on to him, but streaming at best, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Tammy and Danny are saying Musgrave got 1.1 in my 32-man league. I benched Ertz for him. So it hasn't turned into a ton of fantasy success thus far, and Ertz keeps getting like 47 targets for 44 receptions and 6 yards, which is hard not to start. Jeremy, are you feeling similarly to Joey here that maybe the upside is capped for a tight end like Musgrave this season?
I wouldn't say it's like super capped. I don't think he's going to get you to the like even Sam Laporta kind of those blow up games. Like he's not going to get you in that top 5 tier tight end, but he's like a really solid back end tight end. I mean, he's been consistently a top 12 tight end in the first couple weeks and a half PPR. And last week he got hurt. Had he not gotten hurt, I think he would have had a bigger game this past week. So I like him. I think that he's a solid tight end. I don't think that you're going to get weekly high end upside of like the Andrewses and the Laportas and the even Zach Ertz at the moment. But like I think he's still a good option. The tight end is so barren that like he's safe to an extent, but also still has that high upside just because he has a high A dot and kind of just is one of those field stretchers in that offense. So
4 weeks really changes the way we talk about players. You just said he doesn't have the upside like Andrews or Laporta or Zach Ertz. You know, just
Ertz just is targeted at such a high rate that he's like Alvin Kamara this week. 13 catches for 30 yards. That's good in PPR.
And John Luke, Dustin came in here with, I guess, Tank Delephant very early on, and then had a question for you. You can eat an elephant, right?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think they'll eat you back.
You would fit inside an elephant, that's for sure. Tim came in with Tank Delicioso, my favorite Italian dish. Dustin tried Nick Chubba Bubba, which I might have not called a food mashup. I mean, I guess gum is food. And then Dustin came in with Luke Musk Gravy. Tim also thought it was Musk Gravy. Mr. Scabbers thought it was Luke Mollusk Grave. And then finally Dame came in with Musgrave, Right around the same time you guys solved it. Nice job, guys, on that one. Before we move on, Grimfan came in here and had an update for us on their Survivor performance. Wants to know whether they should pick Washington or the Jags this upcoming week. I do not know who their matchups are this week, but we can take a peek and let you know. The Commanders are playing the Bears this upcoming week, and then the Jaguars are playing the Bills. I don't think I would pick the Bills. Or I don't think I would pick the Jaguars against the Bills. I think I would go with Washington. What are you thinking here, Jeremy?
Yeah, if those are your only two options, I'm taking Washington.
Yeah.
Although the Jaguars kind of have the Bills' number, though. I mean, they have actually beaten them the last couple times, so
we'll see.
But still taking Washington, a little bit safer.
I got knocked out because of the freaking Ravens last week, so thanks a lot, JL. I put all that blame on you.
You're welcome. Shouldn't have believed in the Browns.
We're going to load up our next puzzle here. NFL headline. Who solved that one? Joey solved that one, which means, John Luke, you are going to be first in this puzzle. This is an NFL headline, something that happened around the league. Would you like a question, or would you like to solve this?
Question.
Okay. John Luke, what I want to know is who has more PPR points so far through the season, so through 4 weeks. Who has more PPR fantasy points? Is it Mike Evans or is it Puka Nacua?
Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua is absolutely right, JL. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with an N.
An N. There's one N in this puzzle. I'm going to add $500 to your round bank. You can buy a vowel, you can take another question, or you can solve.
I'll take another question.
Okay. My question for you, who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks of the season? So through the first 4 weeks of the season. Is it Deebo Samuel or is it Nico Collins?
It's fantasy points.
Fantasy points.
Let's go with Deebo.
I'm sorry, John Luke. Nico Collins is showing up, the number 7 PPR wide receiver on the season so far, which means, Jeremy, we are back to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I'll take a question.
Okay. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks of the season? Is it Devontae Adams or is it Tutu Atwell?
Man, I think it's no, it's Tutu.
I'm sorry, it is Devontae Adams with 90.7. Tutu has had 3 big games, but one sinking him down there, down at around 60 PPR points for the season. Which means, Joey, we are on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
Question, please.
Okay. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks of the season? More PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks. Is it Christian Kirk or is it CeeDee Lamb?
I'll go Christian Kirk.
I'm sorry, Joey. It is CeeDee Lamb,
really?
Which means we are back to John Luke.
Should be Christian Kirk.
He's had 3 really good weeks after not showing up.
Yeah,
Week 1.
Everybody's ready to give up on him after 1 week.
I was like, Zay Jones, here we come, baby. Jail, would you like a question? Okay. Who had more PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks of the season? Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks of the season? Is it Adam Thielen or is it Amari Cooper?
Let's go with Cooper.
I'm sorry, John Luke. It is Adam Thielen, the number 10 wide receiver on the year so far. Cooper has 2 poo-poo games so far to mix with his 2 really good ones, which means, Jeremy, we are on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve?
I'm going to need a question.
Okay. Who has more PPR fantasy points through the first 4 weeks of the season? More PPR fantasy points. Is it Amon-Ra St. Brown or is it Chris Olave?
St. Brown.
St. Brown is correct. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with T.
T. There's 1 T in this puzzle. Going to add 500 to your round bank. You can buy a vowel if you'd like to do so. You can take another question or you can solve.
I'll take a question.
Okay. What I want to know is who scored more points. So this is NFL points. Which of these teams scored more points this weekend in week 4? Was it the Dolphins or was it the Ravens?
The Ravens.
The Ravens are correct. They scored 28 to the Dolphins 20. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
Let's go with L.
L. There are 3 L's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,500 to your round bank. You can move on to your third and final question here. You can buy a vowel if you'd like to do so, or you can solve this.
I'll take a question.
Okay. My question for you is, which of these teams scored more points in week 4? Which of these teams scored more points in week 4? Was it the Colts or was it the Raiders?
Colts.
The Colts are correct. 23 to the Raiders 17. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
Let's go with...
Get this right, you're going to bank all this money, regardless of if you solve.
M.
M is in Mancy.
Yes, in Mancy.
I am sorry, Jeremy. There are no M's in this puzzle. Brutal, which means we are on to Joey without banking that money. Joey, would you like a question or would you like to solve?
Question, please.
Okay. My question for you, Joey, is which of these NFL teams scored more points over the weekend in week 4? Which of these NFL teams scored more points in week 4? Was it the Bears or was it the Cardinals?
The Bears.
The Bears are correct, Joey. Which letter would you like?
R.
R. There is 1 R in this puzzle. Can add 500.
Really? Thank you. Appreciate that 1 R.
I should have picked R at least. Gosh damn.
R would have done it for you.
Next question, please.
Okay. Joey, which of these teams scored more points in week 4? Which of these teams scored more points in week 4? Was it the Cowboys or was it the Eagles?
Ooh, that's a good question, Simon. I'm going to go Cowboys.
Cowboys are correct. 38 to the Eagles, 34. Which letter would you like, Joey?
S.
S. There are 3 S's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,500. You can buy vowels here if you would like, or we can move on to your third and final question.
I want my third and final question.
Okay, third and final question. Which of these teams scored more points in week 4, Joey? Which of these teams scored more points in week 4? Was it the Panthers or was it the Saints?
Okay. I'll go. I don't remember. Oh, God. I'm going to go Panthers.
Panthers are correct with 13 to the Saints 9. Joey, get this letter right. You will bank this money, but you got to get it right first.
I don't know. I'm going to say a C.
C? I am sorry, Joey. Back to back, we had contestants get 3 questions right, then miss the letter on the third question, which means Jeremy and Joey both tallied up their round bakes to $2,000, filled the board out for you, and then handed it to you on a silver platter. Would you like a question? Would you like to buy any vowels? Or would you like to solve this puzzle?
More of like a paper plate. I mean, this thing isn't that filled out.
Yeah, you're right.
I'll take a question.
Maybe silver plated platter is what we got going on here. John Luke, my question for you is who scored more points in week 4? Which of these teams scored more points in week 4? Was it the Steelers or was it the Bengals?
Steelers.
The Steelers are correct. 6 to the Bengals, 3. It was not a good week for some AFC North teams up there. John Luke, which letter would you like?
Let's go with a P.
A P. There is 1 P in this puzzle. Going to add 500. And boy, when asking that question, I just realized the Bengals were the second best team in the AFC North this week, scoring 6 points. Browns and Steelers both dropped 3. Ravens destroyed the Browns. Well, John Luke, would you like to buy a vowel? Would you like another question? Or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I guess I'll buy a vowel. Let's go with a E.
E. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 E's in this puzzle. Your options remain the same.
I'll take another question.
Okay. Question number 2, I believe this is. John Luke, what I want to know is which of these players had more passing yards in week 4? Which of these players had more passing yards in week 4? Was it Jalen Hurts? Or was it Zach Wilson?
Oh, okay. Watch both of these games. Zach Wilson, redemption arc is here. It's here. The hero's journey. I'm gonna go with Jalen Hurts though, because AJ Brown had a few massive break-off plays.
You read that one perfectly, John Luke. Jalen Hurts definitely had him beat 319 to Wilson's 245. Which letter would you like? Was this question number 3? I know I said it out loud a couple times.
2.
Thanks.
I don't know. Let's go with the B.
A B as in baby?
Yep.
Okay. Well, there are 1, 2, 3 B's in this puzzle jail. Going to add 1,500. You can choose to purchase a vowel, you can solve, or you can move on to your third and final question.
Let's go with, can I try and solve?
Yeah, you can solve if you would like.
Bears blow lead in spite of Fields' big day.
Jail, this does say Bears blow lead in spite of Fields' big day. We already talked about Justin Fields' big day a bit earlier in reference to Cole Kmet showing up with 2 touchdowns. John Luke, as someone who drafted a lot of DJ Moore and Justin Fields this year, can I look forward to more games like this? Or is it, like Jeremy said, maybe you need to see it against the defense that isn't the Broncos?
I think both can be true. We definitely need to see it more times than once from Justin Fields. We saw some last year. He definitely has the talent. I don't know if I have no confidence in that coaching staff. I think that's the part that like I just find myself continually going back to is like how incompetent is the coaching staff, or is something else wrong? And I don't know what that something else is until we get more information.
Yeah, we'll definitely watch to see if we get more games like this out of Fields forward in the season. The chat was piecing this one together throughout. Scampers came in with Bears blow lead in. Grim got Bears blow lead, and Scampers pieced it all together. Bears blow lead in spite of Fields' big day. Nice job, Scampers, piecing that one together.
I love when people refer to a day as somebody's big day.
Fields' big day.
Just whoever, insert anybody, and it's always great.
Yeah,
Simon's big day.
Simon's big. It feels like I'm 7 and I'm going to kindergarten for the first time. And I got a pack of baseball cards or something. Know what I mean? Big day makes it seem like it's not actually a big day, but it's big for me. Grimfan had a trade question in here for us before we move on to our next puzzle. Said he's acquiring Russell Wilson, Mike Evans, and Josh Jacobs, trading away Brock Purdy, Michael Pittman, and Kyron Williams. Jeremy, how do you feel about this trade? Which side would you prefer to end up on?
I would
assuming this is redraft.
Say Purdy, Pittman, and Williams. I don't necessarily trust Russell Wilson weekly. Brock Purdy's got a pretty safe median. We kind of know where he's going to be most weeks. Michael Pittman's coming off a down week, but has had really 3 good ones prior to that. And Kyron Williams looks like a league winner at this point at the running back position, just purely eating up the touches there at the moment in that Rams backfield. Mike Evans, now the hamstring injury at his age, not always the greatest. Jacobs was a good game, but it was against a iffy Chargers defense. So I don't know. I think I like Purdy, Pittman, Williams side, to be honest.
John Luke, what about you? Are you agreeing with Jeremy here, or do you like the Russ, Evans, Jacobs side of this one?
I agree with Jeremy, especially in redraft. In Dynasty, I'd switch it up. I'd go to the other side of this. But yeah, redraft, Purdy's he looks fantastic on a team with so many weapons. It's going to be tough for him to fail from a fantasy perspective.
And then, Joey, you mentioned earlier Mike Evans' injury potentially worrying you. What is your worry level for Mike Evans with this news coming out?
Horrified, screaming on the inside at all moments. I love Mike Evans. I think we've established that. It's a hamstring injury, and at his age, I'm a little worried that it might linger a little bit more than it would for someone that's like 23. So I'm very worried. I'm excited to see Trey Palmer, though. He's getting some looks from Baker. He looks like a productive member of this offense, but he's not Mike Evans. So I hope Mike Evans gets back on the field very quickly to get his 10th 1,000-yard receiving season in a row.
As do I. Well, John Luke, you are going to bank $2,100 there. Nice job. We're going to load up our next puzzle. And Jeremy, you are up first in this one. Puzzle number 4. This category is simple. It's touchdown scorers. This is the last name of 3 different players who scored a touchdown in week 4. I'll need all 3 names in the order that they are on the screen. Last names only is fine. In fact, it's preferred since there's only last names up there. Jeremy, would you like to no letter solve this, or would you like a question?
I'll take a question real quick.
Okay. My question for you is, who had more passing yards in week 4? Who had more passing yards in week 4? Was it Justin Fields or was it Tua Tagovailoa?
Fields.
It was his big day, number 1 on the week with 335. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
Let's go with L.
L. There is 1 L in this puzzle. Going to add 500. You can choose to buy a vowel. You can take another question, or you can solve.
I'll take a question.
Okay. Who had more passing yards in week 4? Who had more passing yards in week 4? Was it Russell Wilson or was it CJ Stroud?
Oof.
Stroud is absolutely correct. 306 to Russell Wilson's 223. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
Well, that L killed who I thought that was. Let's say M.
M. Let's see if there's any M's in this puzzle. There's 1 M in this puzzle. Going to add another 500. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels this turn if you would like to do so. Or we can move on to your third and final question. Or you can solve.
I'll take a question.
Okay, question number 3. Get this right and get the letter right. You are going to add these dollars to your bank. Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Was it Dameon Pierce or was it David Montgomery?
Montgomery.
Montgomery's correct. 121 yards on the ground. Which letter would you like, Jeremy?
T.
T. If there is a T up there, you're going to add all of this money to your score. If not, it will be Joey's turn. And unfortunately, 2 rounds in a row, Jeremy. You must have pissed off Phoenicia or whatever the name of the phonics god is. They are. Joey. Jeremy got 3 questions right and then passed it on to you. Would you like a question or would you like to solve this puzzle?
I would like a question.
Okay. My question for you is, who had more rushing yards in week 4? Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Was it Zach Moss or was it Isaiah Pacheco?
Rushing yards?
Rushing yards.
Isaiah Pacheco.
That is correct. 115 to Zach Moss's 70. Which letter would you like, Joey?
C.
C. There are 2 C's in this puzzle. We're going to add a grand.
Wonder who that is.
I know who that one is.
Yeah.
Would you like another question?
I'm gonna
solve or buy a vowel.
I'm gonna try to buy some vowels. I'll buy an A.
An A. There are 2 A's in this puzzle. We're going to subtract 200.
I'll buy an E.
An E. There are 2 E's in this puzzle. We're going to subtract 200. Your options remain the same.
I'll take a question.
Okay. Joey, this is question number 2. Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Was it Anthony Richardson or was it Alexander Madison?
Madison had 90. I'll go with Madison.
Madison is correct. 95 to Richardson's 56.
Sorry.
Which letter would you like, Joey?
F.
F. There are 2 F's in this puzzle. Joey got double F'd on that one.
Yeah.
Total F.
Joey, would you like to buy a vowel? Last opportunity to do so. Solve or take another question.
Question.
Okay, your third and final question. Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Was it Tony Pollard or was it Joshua Kelly?
Tony Pollard.
Final answer?
Yes.
It was Joshua Kelly, which means we are
why'd you do it that way?
I'm not. JL, you ready for your next question, or would you like to solve this puzzle?
No, I need a question.
Okay, a question for John Luke. Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Who had more rushing yards in week 4? Was it Bijan Robinson or was it Jaleel McLaughlin?
Bijan.
Bijan is correct. Which letter would you like?
Let's go with R.
R. There are 2 R's in this puzzle. Going to add a grand. You can buy a vowel, you can solve, or you can take a third question. And by third, I mean second.
Let's go with let's take another question.
Okay. John Luke, who had more receiving yards in week 3? Who had more receiving yards in week 3? Was it Cole Kmet or was it Chris Godwin?
I don't remember what Godwin got. Kmet had the touchdown. How many yards did he have? I'll go with Godwin.
Nice pull, John Luke. 114 to Kmet's 85. The touchdowns got him all those fantasy points. Though 85 yards is nothing to sneeze at. Which letter would you like?
I'll take a Y.
A Y. I wonder why. Well, there is one Y in this puzzle. John Luke going to add 500. This is your last opportunity to buy vowels, or we can go into your third and final question, or you can solve.
Do I want to buy a vowel here? No, because I'm bad at picking letters. Let's go with another question.
Okay. John Luke, your third and final question. Get this right and the letter. You're going to add this money to your bank. Who had more receiving yards in week 4? Who had more receiving yards in week 4? Was it Adam Thielen or was it Marquise Brown?
Brown.
Brown is absolutely correct. Nice job, John Luke. Which letter would you like? Get this right, you bank this money.
I don't know. Let's go with oh no, let's go with a S.
S. Well, John Luke. There are 2 S's in this puzzle. Going to add 1,000. You're going to bank all 2,500 there. I got to get this up to the right amount, but that's okay. We can do that in a second. John Luke, you got 5 seconds to solve. Which means we are moving on to Jeremy. Jeremy, you've got 1,000 in your bank, which means you can choose to purchase vowels if you would like to do so. You can take your next question, or you can solve. Which letter would you like? Or what would you like to do?
I'll take a question.
Okay. Who had more receiving yards in week 4? Who had more receiving yards in week 4? Was it Christian Kirk or was it Brandon Ayuk?
Kirk.
I'm sorry. Brandon Ayuk had 148 receiving yards in week 4.
I was getting greedy. I think I know the answer. I wanted more money.
You start playing the game instead of playing the trivia. Joey, we are on to you. Would you like a question? Would you like to buy a vowel or would you like to solve?
I want a question. I can't. Oh, wait. I might buy a vowel. I'm going to buy an O.
An O. There is 1 O in this puzzle. Going to subtract 100.
Was scary. I'll buy an I.
An I. There's 1 I in this puzzle, and there are no more vowels.
There's no more vowels?
That's all the vowels.
Are you
would you
sure?
like a question or would you like to solve, Joey?
I'm going to take a question.
Okay. My question for you is who had more receiving yards in week 4? Who had more receiving yards in week 4? Was it Devonta Smith or was it Romeo Doubs?
Romeo Doubs.
Romeo Doubs is correct. Nice job, Joey. Which letter would you like?
N.
There are 2 N's in this puzzle. Going to add a grand. Joey, would you like to solve? Would you like another question?
Oh, I'm going to solve. Why did it take me so long to get that first name? Andrews McCaffrey Wilson.
Andrews McCaffrey Wilson is absolutely correct, Joey. You are going to bank that money right there.
That. Oh.
You're going to bank every last bit of that money, bringing it up to 4,400 and JL at 4,600 right now. The chat was all over this one, figuring it out. We had Dustin in here with Andrews McCaffrey Wilson. When was that? About 8 minutes ago, it looks like, that he came in with that one. Solving that one pretty quick. Michael Wilson popped up this week after being pretty heavily involved, at least from a snap share standpoint, the first couple weeks, and now had 7 targets, 7 receptions, turning into a pretty good game. Jeremy, is there any reason to pay attention to this, or is this another 1 week wonder at the wide receiver position?
I'd probably pay attention to it. I feel like he was kind of a fairly hot name kind of near the beginning of the season in drafts, kind of as like a late dart throw. He was really late. Like it was kind of like last round. Like, are you picking Nakua? Or are you picking Wilson? Like you really didn't get both, I feel like, most times. So some leagues he went undrafted, probably still out on the waiver wire, but he has a clear path to opportunity there. And Dobbs is better than I think what we expected. So at this point, I mean, they've hung in every single game. They've been in it and close. Like this week turned into a blowout, but they were really close for most of that game. So I like it. I think that I don't know if he's going to give you 26 every week, but I mean, he's probably a good safe, flex player with a pretty decent floor and some really high upside that she showed this week. So
Grimfin in here with who's Michael Wilson. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you haven't been paying attention.
From Police Academy.
Yeah, and now he's playing in the NFL and killing it so far. John Luke, do you feel similarly to Jeremy here that it's worth putting on your radar? Maybe he's moved his way up the depth chart, knocked out more as the number 2 guy there.
That's what you're hoping for, is that that he is now the, I guess, wide receiver 2 on that team, or wide receiver 3, third option there behind Ertz or Marquise Brown. I don't expect him to get 7 targets and 2 touchdowns going forward. So while I think he's worth watching, I think what we're most likely we're going to get is this like middle range 5 or less targets per week, with maybe some of these like one-off bigger games. But Rondale Moore really wasn't that consistent prior to this either. So while I think he is competing for that spot, it is an upside play.
I'm with you. It's an upside play. Maybe I have a little bit more optimism just because there's a new quarterback there that's developing chemistry with these wide receivers, right? And we just got news that Dobbs is likely going to be the starter for a couple more weeks. Murray's not coming back right away. And the game script we saw this week, and we've seen every week except against the Cowboys, involves the Cardinals being down by a lot. So maybe 7 targets isn't out of the question, but I'm with you, John Luke. Probably closer to that 5 range right there. I saw Dustin coming in saying, no, Joey had a shot at the win and blew it.
What I'm most impressed with this game is how much time we wasted talking about Mike Wilson, who I do like, but to screw me out of this win. So
I think you screwed you out of this win.
I did. I noticed it as soon as I said it. I was like, no.
Damien's cracking me up. So Jeremy's getting destroyed, not gonna lie. It smells like comeback season, though. Unless the stream ends soon, then rip my boy. Which, unfortunately, the stream is ending soon. JL, that means you are going to be the champion of today's Fantasy Fortune game. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you.
And Jeremy, you got done dirty by the letters today. Killing the trivia twice. You got down to that 3rd letter, and it didn't pan out in your favor, but appreciate you taking the time to come and hang out with us.
Lottery. Not good at picking numbers or letters. It's just not my thing.
Just stick to the trivia. Well, Jeremy, we appreciate you taking the time, imparting some of your knowledge on us, and coming to play our game on this Monday.
Yeah, I appreciate having me on. It was a blast. I had fun, even though I lost. It's all right. I'm a Bills fan. I'm used to losing. So,
and John Luke really needed that win on a Monday. Everybody watching, if you're not already following our friend Jeremy, you need to go and fix that right now. You can find him on Twitter at PopesFFH, and check out the FTN Dynasty podcast and all the other work that he's doing over there at FTN. That is going to be it for us today, but we'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for some more fantasy football game show fun. So if you want to play some Fantasy Jeopardy, make sure you're back here, same time, same place, 3 p.m. tomorrow. Until then, though, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Enjoy that Giants-Eagles game, and good luck, Jay, relying on Daniel Jones for all of your fantasy success. Until then, though, adios, everyone. Where did that button go?